I welcome to this episode of Think Business. I'm looking forward to talking with Jennifer Risi. Jennifer, it's great to connect with you. You're the founder, CEO of the Sway Effect, and I'm looking forward to talking with you because your company is 4 years old. You started and built really through the pandemic, and you're focusing. The focus of your company is public relations. You came from companies like Ogilvy. And what I love talking about with founders like you is you saw a different way of doing it, and so I think a lot of times people feel a different way or see a different way, but they don't go out and build something in a different way. So welcome to the show, and I appreciate you being here. Let's kind of dive back into whether it's your Ogilvy days or any of the other companies where you just where was the voice telling you there was something different that you needed to bring out that only you could bring to the table?
Well, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I was at big agency for 20 years. I was a sticker, right? So first I was at Weber Shandwick for 12 years. I was at Ogilvy for 8. And what I really started to realize, and this was long before, you know, all the different social impact issues that are going on right now in the world, how do we be more inclusive in how we think and how we work? I would sit around in meetings and I would see a lot of people that looked the same, and we were trying to go and hit a target audience that was very different than anyone in the room that we were brainstorming with. And I felt
Hmm.
we could do things better. And when I was at Ogilvy, I got to the highest of levels at the organization. I was worldwide chief communications officer. I was head of media relations globally. I was working with some of the biggest brands in the world, as well as managing the communications and reputation for Ogilvy, which is an amazing job. But I felt that, we maybe weren't always as diverse and inclusive as we should be and could be. I felt we could do better. And I wanted to start my own. I almost had the itch to become an entrepreneur several years before I even did it. I think I always wanted to do it, but I felt I needed to keep getting more experience. And then
Hmm.
finally, I decided it was time to go.
Yeah. What was that feeling?
It just was a voice in my head that just said, we can do things better. And if not, why not you? If you're not going to step out and try when you've had nothing but amazing sponsors and mentors my whole career, then
Yeah.
who could do it? And in all honesty, the way it all came together to start Sway Effect shows me that I made the right choice because it just organically unfolded
Yeah.
over the first 6 to 9 months.
Yeah. I feel like when you're in alignment, right? I read a book about 25 years ago called The Seat of the Soul by Gary Zukav. And it talks about a lot of things, but one thing in particular that um, the ideal soul is when the ideal human is when the personality ends and the soul begins and you can't tell, right? That's alignment. And I believe that in business, it's the same way. When you're in alignment and when you can listen to that voice and when you can have the courage to do what you're talking about, the universe responds, and people aren't necessarily only attracted to the leadership and the courage, but what you radiate when you're in alignment to the service of those customers that are knocking at your door. So I want to kind of stay on this topic because I think it's a really good one right now, because I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of this, right? Never has there been a time where people can um, have that feeling and tap in and build a company with a virtual team, build a company with a partner, all partners best of class all over the world, using Chat GPT as a partner, right? So what advice would you give somebody today, right? So you built through a very difficult time, right? You started in July 2019 and built through the pandemic. What advice would you give somebody today in today's world that you've learned over the last couple of years?
I think just step out and just take a chance. I mean, I think when I started Sway, I literally thought it was going to be me. I thought I was going to leave my big agency job and I was going to become a consultant and I might have a couple people work with me, a couple clients, and see how it went. But when a lot of people I knew in the industry, because the advice I would give is make sure you have strong relationships and people you work with, and you never know when someone's going to come back around, right? So
Right.
I people started hearing I was leaving and I was going to do this, and people were like, "Well, why don't we do something together? I have my own company." And when I launched Sway, it was more of a network. And we launched with 6 agency partners, people who were experts in their own right, whether it be brand strategy or CSR or creative. One of the agencies that was one of our initial partners actually did the branding for the Sway Effect. That was one of the things I learned from my Ogilvy days. Always got to
Yeah.
do good and invest in the branding. That was one of my first big investments
Yeah.
I made, and it's been one of the smartest things I ever did. And when we launched, I launched with an amazing group of people. And now, fast forward, we have about 50 network partners all over the world. We're going to announce another one next week. But it's just people who do good stuff and want to work together. And there's a way to
Right.
just, make that happen. So, I mean, my advice is step out, take a chance, always nurture the relationships, no matter how large or small, whenever you start them in your career. And
Yeah.
honestly, it's all going to fall into place if it's meant to. And what do people say? Success is something that happens, makes we almost make it look easy, but it's a
Yeah.
lot of hard work.
Right. So easy, it's difficult. But one of the things I see too, Jennifer, is that, and I've always felt this way. And the millennial and the Gen Z generation is really accelerating this thought process, and I think it's very contagious in a good way. Is there's no competition, everything is collaboration, and when you can look at things in collaboration, then that person over there who does something that maybe 20 years ago I saw them as a competitor, today I can not only learn from them, but there is a sliver of collaboration in there, even if it's sharing best practices. And so I love what you're talking about, that you kind of came together with all these agencies to be best of class. I want to dive a little bit deeper into that, and talk about mentorship, because all of these best of class people can provide mentorship. But take me back, you tell me, take me back in time to the initial mentor that planted the seed in you that helped give you the courage to get you where you are today.
I mean, I've been very fortunate to have great mentors, and I love the term sponsors, people who said nice things about me when I wasn't in the room, right? I always used to say
Yeah.
I could be the most successful account supervisor in the history of Ogilvy, but if someone wasn't advocating for me when I wasn't around, I'd still be where I was. Um,
Yeah. I just want to say one thing on that think community. I talk about this a lot. I define that, Jennifer, as branding, right? Your brand is what people say about you what they say about you when you leave the room. So I love that you shared that, because I think it's great. Okay, keep going. I didn't mean to break your
No,
stride.
no problem. I mean, I think, I've had a handful of mentors who have literally just always they've had faith in me. I think they saw something in me. I mean, I was a psychology major I went to Barnard. I was a psychology major. I didn't even know what communications was. My parents at the time, umpteen years ago, told me you have to get a job. And so I did. And I wound up in corporate communications. I think the same day I interviewed at Simon and Schuster to be in publishing. And again, everything
Yeah.
happens the way it's supposed to. But
Yeah.
my first person who ever hired me, her name was Diane Perry. She literally said, always take chances. And the worst that's ever going to happen is something's going to be wrong. As long as you can accept and admit when you're wrong, you move forward.
Yeah.
And I've never looked back from that. And over my career, I've had different people that I work with over time that have just advocated for me. And honestly, one of the best things that happened from my time at Ogilvy was I have friendships that I've made there that I have to this day. Some of them are my clients today. Some of them are my partners today. Some of them are people that just refer staff to us. So refer
Yeah.
business to us. So the network is so important, but I've always had people just encouraging me, take a chance.
Yeah. I love it. I was in commercial real estate for a long time, and I always wanted to start a coaching company. And My business coach at the time, now I'm going back 9 years now, had me meet with an attorney friend of his. And I was kind of talking about, hey, I want to reinvent myself. I want to switch careers. I want to build this coaching business and write books and speak. Um, and he talked to me, and I don't really remember everything we talked about, but I remember this one thing. I was leaving and he said to me, John, I was literally leaving. He said, hey, I have one more thing I want to share with you. If you do nothing, you'll regret it. And that to me, it was so powerful because he was right. If I just stayed and was complacent and did nothing, when I saw myself fast forwarding 10 years, I knew I would regret it. And I
Yeah.
couldn't live it with that looming out there. So I quit my job, and long story short, I started my coaching company. But I appreciate the guidance of always take chances, because they're there. I want to talk to the person though who's listening right now who can't take a chance full time. That maybe there's a part time and a part time and a way to kind of build something where you can kind of ease into it. We're in a time right now where many people are hurting financially. The price of groceries, gas, I mean, everything is so expensive right now. So to those who have this kind of voice inside of them that you shared, I have a similar story about myself and many of the guests on this show and many clients that I coach all over the world. How can people start small?
I started even when I was in my previous job. I started doing consulting, being on boards, helping friends who needed some communications advice, continuing to network. One of the things that I do now at Sway is we hire a bunch of freelancers, folks that, might think about wanting to start something. They don't 100% know. I give them something to do on the side. I really do believe in paying it forward and figuring out ways to create opportunity. I love to hire unconventional people that might not necessarily be pure communications experts, and they bring amazing perspective. So I would say just start. I mean, this generation is amazing for the side hustle. So I think
Yeah.
do that because it
Yeah.
works. Because I hire a lot of people who consult for us that have another gig, but they work with us sometimes on the weekend just to see if they
Yeah.
like it.
I love it. And think community. If you're listening or know somebody who can take that advice, Jennifer is giving priceless advice, because one of the things that I see get stuck with that gets people stuck in this area is they'll say, well, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. I don't know what to charge. I don't like asking people for money. I feel it. Da, da, da. And so see if you can find a Jennifer near you, or reach out to Jennifer and freelance and just kind of start. I love masterclass.com. I don't know if you remember, but I take a lot of classes. I listen to a lot of the people, and a great one was Sarah Blakely, and she gave a great talk. I don't know if you saw it or this, but she talks about how she in her recruiting efforts for a lot of her roles, she hired people purposely with zero experience, and that because she saw their potential and could train them up, and they become some of their best people.
I could not agree more. I'm a
Yeah.
huge fan of Sarah Blakely's. I mean, I think for me, I think you can teach anyone a specific craft, right? Like I
Yeah.
can teach people how to do communications. I can't teach work ethic. I can't teach intensity. I can't teach proactivity and
Yeah.
just drive. If
Yeah.
someone has the right drive, like I'm infamous for being sometimes, I probably shouldn't say this, late to interviews, but like I can decide in 10 minutes, I'm like, this is going to work or not, because
Yeah.
I've seen it enough. And a lot of the time I just take a chance on people that just I could tell will vibe together, but I also think they have a great work ethic and they have a curiosity and a passion to learn something new.
Yeah.
And then let's have some fun.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's talk a little bit about the sway effect. And so here you are, you've put all of these agencies together, you've got this phenomenal background of experience. The voice led you to kind of getting onto this path, this road. Um, who are your ideal clients, and what do you do for clients?
Well, I like diversity. So we have clients in pretty much every industry you could imagine. We have clients in healthcare, retail, advertising, tech. We also have some nonprofit clients. Um, my specialty personally is in corporate communications, CEO visibility, crisis communications. Most of my initial clients were people that I knew from previous work. Again, always keep that relationship in place.
Yeah.
They were some of my original clients. I'm talking like CEOs of major publicly traded companies who were like, yes, I'm in, because think about it. I now have my own company. I don't have the layers of the big company anymore,
Yeah.
and they're going to get me. And it's, one of the ways that I built Sway was we are an extension of our client's team. We have the intimacy. I don't take on more than a certain number of clients at a time because I want to go deep. Any client that honestly calls us a vendor, they're not the type of client we want to work with. We want to be seen as a partner that has a seat at the table, that can provide advice. Obviously, we're not always listened to, and that's completely cool, but we want to be seen as an extension of the client team. And that's the role that I play on a day-to-day basis, is strategic communications advisor to a variety of CEOs and their C-suite. And I'm building out a team that has expertise in a variety of sectors from media relations perspective. We also have a content strategist, social media. We have a data analytics team. So I think, I know I don't know everything. I don't want to. I want to learn from people. The best people in our business learn every day. You never stop learning. So I
Yeah.
surround myself with people that know things that I don't, and we can
Yeah.
all do great stuff together.
My apologies. The power in my building, I'm in Detroit. There's crazy wind. So the power went out and I switched to my iPhone. So we missed a little bit of that, but I think we got the essence of it. And it's great. As I hear you talk, Jennifer, it's smart business. It's the way every business, in my opinion, should be formed today and moving forward. Collaboration, best of class, strategic thinking, paying attention to never burning a bridge, networking, and, just the importance of all of this. So I love it. I want to talk a little bit about the ups and downs of starting a company in July of 2019, right? None of us would have ever been able to forecast what happened in March 2020. I was doing on March 12th, I was doing a workshop for about 50 people, which really was a super spreader. Nobody knew. And even on that day, everyone was thinking, what is this COVID thing? And even in March, we were going with another family on spring break in April. And we were like, let's not cancel it just yet, right? Let's not cancel it just yet. And then the world, it's almost hard to comprehend what happened. And so I'm a big believer that in markets like we walked through just now, those are the best times to grow your business in many ways. And so what were some of I'm sure we could talk for 2 hours about it. You could probably write a book about it, frankly, but what were some of the 1, 2, or 3 biggest lessons that you took from it?
Well, I was actually in Aruba when the pandemic hit. And we kept seeing every day it getting worse. And then I was like, I
Yeah.
think we need to leave because we might not get home.
Right.
So,
Right.
I mean, I will tell you, being able to just see this whole thing unfold, and none of us ever thought this would happen. What I learned so quickly was you can build a business anyway, right? Like
Yeah.
I always felt I needed to have the team literally with me in the room. I'm a big printer. I probably shouldn't say that. I love to print documents and write on them. Like I couldn't do that anymore. Like I literally had to figure out how to build an office in my apartment,
Yeah.
and also had this company that had just started in July 2019. And so what I learned was, with the right people, you can build a business anywhere. And as long as you know your craft, you can be resourceful. And to be able to build a business with everyone all over the place, never in a room together, over the course of 2.5 years, imagine what we could do now. We're all sitting together. It'd be
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
So that was one thing. The agility of being able to pivot and just to learn how to work differently was something that I learned. Also, it was a time to teach people who might not necessarily use PR as a craft, why PR was important right now. There were some companies that we worked with that we were hired for a different purpose, and we had to educate them about why it was important to be forward facing at this time. Not
Yeah.
to say it was an opportunity to capitalize on, but it was a moment that to be visible, to actually connect with your end users and your audience. And so we had a lot of basic communication counsel to give about why this was not a time to retreat. It was a time to communicate not only externally, but more so with your employees, to make them feel that, it was a time of uncertainty. Make them feel better, make them
Yeah.
feel that they could actually still do their day-to-day job without worrying about everything else happening in the background. And what I also learned was I was able to think about new and different talent that maybe I would never have thought because they weren't based in New York where I'm based, right? So one of my senior people who I met during this time is based in Miami. I mean, I think I met her. She was working with me for over a year and a half, 2 years before I ever met her.
Yeah.
And she joined our team. She freelanced to begin, and then we decided she joined the company. Would I ever think that my most senior person working with me would be based in Miami? I probably would have thought that way,
Yeah.
but she's been an amazing asset to the team, who's helped me grow the business significantly over the past several years. She's been with me probably just over 2 years at this point.
Yeah.
And I thought about geography in a different way. I thought about doing things via Teams and Zoom. I mean, I remember when I was
Yeah.
at Ogilvy, we would have Zoom meetings, but like I didn't know the extent of how Zoom was going to change our world. It was
Right.
just different ways of working and connection, and it
Yeah.
showed that we are a. Look, it was hard for someone like me. I'm an extrovert, so the fact that I wasn't allowed to go out for a while, that
Yeah.
was not good for me.
Yeah.
But I was able to put all my time and energy into building the company,
Yeah.
and the company grew significantly.
It's great. It's so interesting. Zoom. I started my coaching business about 8 years ago, and my business was about 60% local and 40% all over the country. A couple international, and COVID hit, and I went from going to people's offices to working from coffee shops or even my car in between meetings and kind of connecting to my Wi-Fi to being
Mm.
home. And all of a sudden, Zoom became my meeting place, and it transformed the way people saw, in my case, a business coach. So my business now is all over the country, all over the world, and nobody even knows where anybody lives anymore. So it's like it's
Yep.
so commonplace. Even my local clients, I'm Zooming because the way I work is kind of like I do a deep dive, then we do 15 minutes a week or 30 minutes every other week. So I'm Zooming clients. And so it has I always kind of wanted a business like this, but I never thought it was possible. And it's one of the amazing things that I don't think, like you're talking about, I couldn't have been able to do it on my own if there wasn't a shift in how things got done.
I
Let's
agree.
talk a little bit about I want to talk about two more things before we close. One is you're a three-time winner for PR News Top Women in PR. You were inducted into the 2019 PR Week Hall of Femme, right? Am I getting it right? And named to the Observer's 2020 PR Power 50 list. I mean, your accolades go on and on and on. Your agency was also named 2021 PR. Am I saying this right? PR Evoke Media Agency.
Provoke Media. Yeah.
Yeah, I have dyslexia. My pronunciations are horrible. Media Agency of the Year, North America, and 2021 PR Week Boutique Agency of the Year finalist. First of all, congratulations on all of your accomplishments and what you've built. And I just want to kind of go back, think community. This was a voice in Jennifer's being that led her to have the courage to start. And so, within just a handful of years to have all those accomplishments, congratulations. You do a lot of work in the DEI space. I have two children. My son is 20, my daughter's 17. They're going to be doing phenomenal things, but I want to focus a little bit on my daughter for a minute. I always am appreciative of pioneers like you who are continually laying a stronger foundation. Right now, I think 10% of CEOs are women in the Fortune 500. That's up from 7%. How do we get that number up for my daughter, other daughters, and other women?
Well, one of the things, I mean, we try to do our part, right? And that's part of the reason I started Sway, was because I thought we could do things better and different. So our whole mandate is driving brand reputation while putting diversity, equity, and inclusion at the center of everything we do. So as I said earlier, my clients are mostly CEOs. And so I make D&I practice and just strategy a key part of what we do for them. It's not an afterthought. Like if I see something that's not working, I call it. I call it out. And
Yeah.
that's something that I think is very important. And I think, I advise clients each and every day, you need to be more inclusive in your resumes of who you're considering for roles. We need to be aware of unconscious bias that we have, of gender stereotypes. And I've had this happen to me. Oh, that's not how a woman should act. And oh, she's aggressive. She's like overbearing. She's whatever. I mean, I've had the amount of things said to me over my career. I have a very thick skin at this point.
Yeah.
But I think we have these gender roles that we unconsciously, just unfortunately, that affects us. And so we have to be open around, who should get that promotion, who should get that next job. And a lot of the clients we work with, they put D&I at the center of everything we do. Like thinking about, one of my clients is Signet Jewelers. They own Kay and Zales and Jared. CEO came from Procter & Gamble. Woman, has transformed her leadership team to be mostly women, people of color on her board. She wanted to make sure that the leadership team represented the population she serves. Before her, the team didn't do that. And that's the type of work that we're doing every day with our clients. So that's my little part in the grand scheme of the world, to figure out how do we make there be more inclusivity across lots of sectors. I mean, one of the worst and challenging is finance or tech, and we have some clients in tech, and we're working with them to just challenge them to do better as well.
What do companies need to be asking in the boardroom to really evolve the conversation when it comes to DEI? Because I'm a big believer that if everybody looks the same in the boardroom, you can't grow to the level. If everybody's got a similar backstory, if everybody has a similar perspective, and surprisingly, there are a lot of boardrooms that are not as diverse as they need to be. And so what are some questions that people in the boardroom need to be putting on the table and discussing, right? So let's say these people haven't called a Jennifer Risi yet. They haven't called the Sway effect. What's the initial piece for somebody to have the courage to drop in this question and to begin to shift and raise the frequency and vibration of what is being talked about?
I think everybody has a voice, right? I think it's not just the big actions, it's also the little actions of calling things out in a meeting. Do we have the right people to brainstorm this new product? We're going to service this type XYZ community. Do we have the right representation in the room to actually come up with that strategy? Do we have the right representation in the room to develop that product for the population we want to reach? It's calling stuff like that out. I know it seems so basic, but things like that, that's where the cultural shift starts to happen, is having people have the courage to speak up in a meeting. And then obviously it's a level of speaking up in a boardroom. But I think, also one of the things that I've also encouraged my clients to do is to set metrics. The only way you're really going to look to make a change is if you set a metric and you work towards the metric. I mean, we work in corporate America, everything is measured. So you have to measure your diversity numbers. I mean, I have a client right now who's dealing with some challenges. And the first thing we're going to look at their diversity stats. We're going to look at where they are. And we're going to look at, we're going to listen to the culture, and we're going to see what we need to do to help drive some change. It's not going to go overnight, but the first step is awareness.
Yeah. Amen. I talk about that a lot, right? We all need to raise our awareness, and thanks for that. Let's talk a little bit about philanthropy and giving back. You've got a really impressive resume when it comes to this, serving as the ongoing advisor to UN Women and UN Women Executive Director. You launched the UN's Women's He for She campaign and managed Bloomberg Philanthropies Climate Summit for local leaders. How should companies be thinking about giving back? I see I'm seeing this live as I help companies as part of my executive advisory services. When I'm coaching people, I'm part of recruiting and interviewing people with my clients, whether it's from a C-level, C-suite, or managers or salespeople. I'm helping companies a lot with this. And the people that we are interviewing, and this has been going on for some time, it's not just interviewing them, they're interviewing you. They
Yes.
want to know the DNA of who you are. How are you as a company giving back? Are you in alignment with their personal values? So talk a little bit about giving back as a company, because it's in alignment with the mission and it feels good, but also why people come work with you because of that as well.
People just don't want to work for a brand. They want to feel good about the brand they work for, whether it's being an employee or even consumers. They want to buy for brands that they know are doing good, right? So I think that it's very important that the philanthropy, the cause for any company needs to be intricately involved with who the business is. So I think, having some causes are good, but I also think the way to actually show you really get it and it's part of the cultural DNA is the cause needs to be intricately involved with the mission and who the organization is.
Yeah.
As Sway, I give a lot of time to causes. I'm on the I'm doing a bunch of various work that I give back. I do a lot of work with Barnard College where I went to school. We have a funnel of giving internships. It's very central to who we are. I think it's very important that, authenticity is key. And I think that, people can suss out if you're doing something just for optics. We have a lot of things that are done for lip service or to get the PR
Yeah.
headline. I get asked a lot of questions about, do you think that this is actually authentic? Do you think this was a PR stunt? And I usually say the truth. That's who I am. But I think, for specifically, it has been very important for me to give back over my career. And it's important for me to counsel the clients I have to give back and do things in the right way. Because, if we don't do that, people in positions like me, then who is going to do it?
Yeah. Amen. I love it. Ready for a quick speed round?
Sure.
All right. If you had to teach a college class, what would the subject be?
How to pick a good wine.
A book or a TED Talk or an article that's had the biggest impact on you?
Ooh. Anything written by Michelle Obama.
Okay, good. Best piece of wisdom you've ever received?
Take a chance.
Finish this sentence. I believe.
I believe that two people are better than one, three people are better than two.
All right, good. Tell everybody again, Jennifer, who your ideal clients are and how they can connect with you.
You can reach us. We're at theswayeffect.com. Happy for you to also reach out to me at Jennifer Risi, jennifer.risi at theswayeffect.com. And we look to work with brands that want to drive their reputation, but also want to challenge and ultimately change the world.
I love it. Thank you so much. This was a great conversation. I love everything that you're doing, and and how in alignment you are with, as I talked about earlier, the Gary Zukav book, how alignment you seem to be with your soul and your mission and your company and all the people that you're helping. In community, I'm a business coach. I work with successful people who are stuck. I get them unstuck. I love this podcast because I get to have guests like Jennifer on who can also work in collaboration with me to get you unstuck. And you shared so many things. This was like almost like a mini master's class, Jennifer. But I want to extract one thing, Think Community, which I think is kind of the through line of what Jennifer was talking about. And that is always take chances, push yourself. There's never, I hear this a lot. There's never the right time. There's never a good time. There's never a ... But if we start small things done on a consistent basis compound to something big. And whether it's small or big, every little thing has an impact on you, the people you love, the people around you. And in many cases, you're inspiring people that you don't even know that you're inspiring. Jennifer, you're really inspiring. And this was a really, really great talk. Think community, if you know anybody who can benefit from this, please share it. Please rate it on iTunes. And if Jennifer can help you, Jennifer, tell them one more time where they can reach out to you.
Jennifer.Risi@theswayeffect.com.
All right. And you can reach me at jondwoskin.com. Jennifer, thanks. This was great. I appreciate all your time and your energy, and thanks for everything that you do.
Thank you.